Hello and welcome to the Smells Like Infinite Sadness podcast. I'm your host, Michael Taylor. For those of you who don't know, I run the website, smellslikeinfinitesadness.com. It's a blog covering the best alternative rock from the 80s and 90s up to present day. I'm a proud middle-aged Gen Xer who is still obsessed with the music of his youth and loves to talk about it. And today I've got a very special guest, which any fan of 90s alternative should be very well familiar with. That is Dean Ween, one half of the musical duo Ween. Dean, whose real name is actually Michael Melchiondo Jr., for those in the know, has a new album. It's his sophomore release from his solo project, the Dean Ween Group. It's entitled Rock2. It came out last Friday via Schnitzel Records. And we discuss the new album and background on the songwriting process and what's next for Ween in 2018. He was as frank and as funny as any fan of the band would likely suspect, and it was a total blast to talk to him. So sit back and enjoy the interview. Yes, I'm really digging your new album. I know you've been really prolific the past few years because your last solo album, the Diener album, came out in 2016. And you've been touring with Ween and touring with the Dean Ween Group. And I was reading you've actually been averaging about recording 2 songs a day. So how do you keep up such a prolific pace? It seems like a very, very high amount of workload to get done in such a quick amount of time.
First of all, I don't record 2 songs every day. There's days when I do pretty often, but I, at night, like my wife and my kid go to bed, and he's got to get up for fucking, high school. And, I come here and I smoke cigarettes and weed and blast music all night, play my guitar top volume, and I can't do that at home. So that puts me in the studio every single night, But I know that doesn't sound like realistic, but that's really, I think, why I'm so prolific. I'm just always here. No, but I really do. I love being here. I've always loved, it's been a long time since I could record 24/7, in a place where it wasn't really temporary. I mean, between Ween and me, we must have rented, no shit, 25 different houses, I would say, or apartments just to record in, because we'd always get thrown out whenever the lease was up from noise or drinking or, whatever it was, So that was like kind of the last time I really cranked out this much music. It takes me back to like, being, between, 14 and 26 years old, So that's kind of the real truth.
And I know in your press release you say that it represents the first time that I was able to take what we do on stage and put it on a record. And did that just come from more time together?
White Pepper's kind of true of that. There's 2 factors in that. One is that just the way things are now to make money, make a living as a musician, you have to tour. It's the only way. Record labels nobody gets an advance, not even like $10,000, because anyone can. Fidelity is so cheap, you just need a laptop and Pro Tools, and just a couple pieces of gear to make a great sounding record. But anyway, so you don't get royalties, you don't get an advance. What does that leave? It leaves touring and selling T-shirts. That's how you make a living as a musician. So I've been touring a lot more than ever, and I've just started thinking, in terms of the band a lot more. When Ween disbanded for a few years there, I started doing this, and I kind of embraced my identity as the guitar player guy a little more, which meant not as, the way Aaron and I do things, we sit down with a drum machine or not necessarily a drum machine, but one track at a time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But from White Pepper, we recorded all those songs, demoed them, Aaron and I did it, and then we brought in the band and we cut it as a record. And that's kind of exactly what I did with this one. But that's the only other time. In most every other case, the demo is what's on the record. You know what I mean? There's no demos of Push the Little Daisies. There's no other. That's obviously the one and only. Or whatever. Green song. So that's kind of those are the correlations.
Do you find it hard to replicate a demo? Is that why you like kind of going with the first edition of it? Is that?
Well, no. I mean, I think that Ween is two things. Ween is Ween in the studio, which is Aaron and I writing, and then there's Ween on stage, which is this epic 3-hour rock show,
Mm-hmm.
And in the studio, nothing is off limits. Change the speed of the tape, put tons of effects, whatever it takes to make it the most of what it is, to get to the essence of the song. Whereas what I'm doing here is rock and roll band. That's what I want. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm trying to do.
I really like the opening track, Showstopper. I was kind of surprised to learn that was a cover because it really has kind of your stylistic fingerprints all over it. How'd you discover that song?
I think we own it now. I think we own that. It's an obscure ass song. I don't know. Somebody sent it to me. Honestly, I've listened to it like 25,000 times. I decided to make it track one on my records.
And then I know you've got Finger Banging, which is another one that I really had a blast with. It kind of reminds me of like a 60s strip club song, and I combine.
Yeah, I like the idea of starting the record with 2 drum solos back to back. I thought that was really hilarious. It might be really stupid, but no one has really said anything about it yet, except me. I'm the only one that's noticed.
How did that song originate? Like, do you remember when you first came up with that idea, and how did that kind of come together?
What? Finger bang?
Yeah.
I remember exactly how it was. When my son was little, when he was like 10 or 11, I had to take him to a birthday party. It was his birthday, laser tag, and I hate kids, except my kids. I fucking hate them, especially after like 8 years old. I fucking can't stand them until they're like in their 20s. But I love my own kid, so I had my car filled with these kids, these boys, going there, and this kid in the back seat was talking about like finger banging Cindy, what's her name, and I was like, "You're so full of shit." I kind of got so fed up. I turned, like, he was talking about how he hacked into PayPal. He was doing all this bragging, and then he said finger banging, and I almost fucking crashed the car. I was laughing so hard. I was like, you can't even, like, you don't even have hair on your balls. You just finger bang anybody. You don't even know what that means. And you didn't rob PayPal. Don't bullshit a bullshitter. So then we were backstage. We were backstage in Hamden, Connecticut, and I told that story, and I said, like, when we go on, we're going to do this riff, and I had my guitar, and I just sort of wrote it right there, and it's going to stop, and we're going to go, ooh, finger banging, and we opened with it. We never played it, literally. We talked about it, and then I put it on the record. Like, every time we play, I think about it, and I would think of something else. I'd be like, oh, let's like make the sniffing noise, like, ooh, finger bang, like it's smelling your finger. And then it was like, oh, big obnoxious baritone sax solo, So eventually
awesome.
I got it all on there. Finger banging has been fully realized.
Oh, that's great.
To say. And you can look forward to hearing like 10-minute versions of it when we tour.
And I was reading too that "Don't Let the Moon Catch You Crying" was something that originated back with Ween for Quebec, but you guys never recorded it. Is that right?
Yeah, there's a 4-track demo of it, with different words. Yeah, for all the stuff I do here and whatever, it's like you would not believe how many like old ideas become like a micro part of a song. I got I got kind of an elephant's memory of anything I've ever written or recorded or played, I don't know, I guess it's what I do for a living, so I should, but that was just like on my, like, always like meant to revisit list, I thought it was just the most badass chorus. I mean, it could have been on the country record. It was like, well, that was later. That was earlier, actually. But you know what I mean? It was a great, great chorus, and the verses weren't good at all. And when sometimes you come to the studio and you have a definite idea of what you're going to do, or sometimes, anything can spark an idea or whatever. And that just decided to revisit it and ask my friend, because I was so stuck on thinking of it with the old words. I asked my friend Adam from Low Cut Comedy to help me write the words, which is something that like I rarely, if ever, have done in my life. Co-written a song with someone other than Aaron, you know, and he was able to break my mind out of thinking, you know, hearing the old melodies and cadences, you know what I mean, and make it into the like a what it should have been. You know, I'm happy with it now. Like that song has been realized fully to its fullest potential.
Well, speaking of Adam, a question I had as well. I know that you've had the same core lineup you had from the past album, and you've had kind of your frequent collaborators like Adam and also Michael Hampton from Parliament Funkadelic. And
yeah.
And when you are in the studio, do you write these things at first and go, I'm going to call this person in and do it? It sounds like something perfect for them. Or does it kind of originate from jam sessions, or is it kind of a little bit of both?
It's every way you can imagine. Sometimes it's just me here most of the time, and my roadie and best friend Gabe. You know, other times I'll have a tune and I'll write a tune and I'll call. It could be a number of people, different people, you know, drummers, bass players, or who's around. You know, I might be hanging out. You know, we hang out here a lot. You know, and if I call, you know, one of my musician friends and we're hanging out here, it's kind of understood that we're probably going to end up recording. We'll definitely at least be jamming. You know what I mean? How can you be a musician and be surrounded by all this equipment and not, you know, want to do that? You know, I love, you know, and all my friends and associates or bandmates or whatever you want to call them are like-minded, you know? So, it works every which way, you know. Sometimes it's just me playing everything. Sometimes it's two of us hanging out. Sometimes I'll write a song, record it alone the night before, and then call people the next night to re-record it, you know, because I know I could do it better. Yeah, anything that works. That's the nice part about having a studio. I mean, I you know, people that have had one and take it for granted, you know, I'm living test, you know. I use the shit out of my place is what I'm saying. You know, our stuff has so many miles on it already. You know, I mean, and all the stuff that I do here alone or with my friends. I mean, I record other bands here too, so I could end up doing, you know, a song or two, you know, before 10 p.m. and then record 6 songs for a band's demo, you know, till 8 a.m. So there's constantly music going on here. You know, it's great. It's just awesome.
And then I was reading you work with Electric Six. Is that correct? I was reading that on Consequence of Sound.
Yeah. Ray, the drummer in the Dean Ween group, one of the drummers in the Dean Ween group, is in Electric Six. And he sang Showstopper on stage before he plays drums, and he's a great singer. So when it came time to cut the vocal, he was out on tour with him. So I sent him the session, and they all did the vocals on it.
And I was also wondering if I know the last album you did a video for Bicycle Man, or was it Exercise Man?
Exercise Man.
Which was hysterical. And I was wondering if you're going to do one for this album. I was thinking Yellow Pontiac might make for a perfect one with the lyrics. Man.
I keep like forgetting to do it because it's only like one day out of your life. I did want to make a video for this record. I'll get back to you on that one though.
Okay.
I'm kind of running out of time here.
Okay.
Be on the road. No, I don't mean for this interview, but I mean,
yeah, just time.
Like it's just one day out of your life, you know. You know, I know a bunch of people that are great directors. Monica, who did the Exercise Man, I'd probably just ask her to do it. This one too. She did a great job for the first one. No budget. So, you know, it's just like an afternoon out of your life. But if it's a good video, you live with it the rest of your life. And if it sucks, then you're going to live with it the rest of your life.
Either way.
So videos are like, you want to be like careful.
But the lyrics,
like we made a couple awesome ones and a couple sucky ones before we just gave up.
Well, the lyrics are absolutely hilarious. I mean, they really paint a picture. Can you tell me what inspired that song, where that came from?
Yeah. Yeah, I can. There's the town I live in, New Hope, PA, is a very big gay town. It's a huge, in the U.S., it's got to be one of the top 10 destinations, like Fire Island or Key West, San Francisco. You know, and having grown up here, you know, I've been around gay men and gay women my whole life, and I noticed that they drive gay cars. And so I asked my friend, the bartender at the bar, he goes by the name of Pumpkin. That's his drag name. I hope he reads this. But I asked Pumpkin, I was like, why do you have to drive like a pale blue, like fucking Grand Am? I've never seen like that car. Like, where do you find it? Why can't you just drive like, it's like if you're a gay woman, like Kate Upton's not hot. It's got to be like a butch thing. I just don't get, but it's an honest question. It's like, how come you have this car? Like, I've never seen that in my life. My father's a used car dealer. You have a yellow Grand Am. Like, it's the only one I've ever seen in my entire life, and it's so gay. That's what the song is about. He's like, oh, honey, you wouldn't understand. You don't get it.
Well, I was thinking about your early Ween albums. I know you guys would often like crack up during certain songs, and I was thinking about Yellow Pontiac and also Pussy on My Pillow, and I wondered when you're recording those, does it take you multiple takes so that you don't laugh, or are you kind of an old pro by now?
Yeah, it happens. It definitely happened during Pussy on My Pillow. Yeah, that's the only reason why I put Gum on the first record. Actually, that's like one of the worst songs I ever wrote. Gum, because we were laughing so hard doing it that I thought that it was just kind of like something you can't emulate,
Uh-huh.
Very Ween. After all, I am Dean Ween. No, but
Well, I mean, speaking of Ween, I know that you guys have got some tour plans this summer for Red Rocks. Do you have anything else in the works?
Mm-hmm. I'm not allowed to tell you though. Actually, I don't even remember anyway. But yeah, no, we're doing a bunch of gigging this year. I stopped looking at tour dates like 10 years ago, dude. Like I don't want to know. It's so horrifying and so horrible when you look at it and you realize like, oh my God, like it's 3 days, it's 2 days from now. Oh my God, it's tomorrow. Fuck. And then the next thing you know, you're in like Cleveland in the rain on a Monday night playing, staying off the interstate in Polynesian Express. Want to kill yourself. Playing finger band. A different bunch of people every night.
Well, have you guys talked to any about doing any new material, or is that kind of not really in the plans right now, or you haven't really gotten to that point yet? Or
it's not in the plans right now. Not in the plans right now. That's all.
Right. Well, I think that covers everything I had to ask. Anything else you want to add about the new album before we wrap up today? Or
no. Check it out. Buy it. Don't steal it off the internet. Do me a favor. If you're reading this and listening to this, buy it. Give brother a break.
Well, I really like it a lot, and I wish you the best of luck with it. Hope it does well for you, and look forward to hearing more about the tour plans and seeing you on the road. Thanks so much for talking today. It was a real pleasure.
All right, man. Bye.
Very, very special thanks to Dean Ween for taking out the time to do this interview today. That was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to it. I definitely had a great time talking to him. And next week, you guys are going to want to check back because I've got another exciting guest coming up. I'll be talking to Dave Windorf, the frontman behind Monster Magnet, discussing their new album entitled Mindfucker, which is a incredible name for an album. That's pretty awesome. And just one more thing, I want to give a big shout out to Interstellar, the LA stoner rock group that gives the theme song for our podcast. You can find them on Bandcamp at Interstellar, 1L, just to keep track of that. The song is called Hold It. So big thanks to them for that. For those of you listening on the Anchor FM app, I've got a special surprise for you. I've got a Spotify link to Don't Let the Moon Catch You Crying, which is a song off Dean Ween's new album. So check that out after you listen to this. And that's all for now. See you next week.